All right, so you may remember we told you here last week about overgrown grass and trees that were blamed for causing an accident at a north side intersection.
That's right. 2 people were hurt in that accident in Hillcrest, Washington, Coles area. Now, that intersection has been cleaned up, but the city manager says there is still work to do in that part of the city. Chris 6 News reporter Ashley Portillo explains.
On Thursday evening, City Manager Peter Zanoni will meet with some of the residents of the neighborhood here at the Oville Williams Senior Center. They'll be talking about some of their concerns like their safety, overgrown grass, and poorly lit areas.
You have the neglected maintenance of the lots. You have animals, you have rodents, you have snakes.
Pastor Adam Carrington has worked at the Brooks Aim Church for 5 years. He's seen many homes and properties abandoned because of the new Harbor Bridge project fall into neglect. But the residents who are staying in the neighborhood complain. They've literally been left in the dark.
When the port tears down the house or demolishes a house, for the better word, that lighting is no longer there. It makes it dangerous for the folks who still live in the neighborhood.
Residents have shared their concerns with the city manager and Councilman Everett Roy. So within the past month, Peter Zanoni even sent city staff to the area.
To just go through the entire neighborhood and look at it and see what deficiencies were there, and then report back to him.
The Minton Street intersection is just one example of the city's response to that area's concerns. But it's not just overgrown grass that needs to be weeded out. This community has other thoughts to share with city leaders.
As long as there's residents living there, we've got to just make sure that the area is safe and that we do the things that we need to do.
Reason together and figure out how to keep this neighborhood maintained.
Councilman Everett Roy says keeping these areas maintained will be an effort made by the homeowners, the port, and the city. It all just depends on who owns that property. Back to you.
And a Thursday night's meeting will be at the Oville Williams Senior Center. Doors open at 5:30 and the meeting begins at 6 o'clock. Now, Doddridge Park on Ocean Drive is actually getting some repairs.
Yeah, they're fixing problems that you'll remember began back in May of 2014. Now, the problem here is that back then the sidewalks at the park began sinking because of erosion and a foundation problem. Well, a year later, a sinkhole opened up under some stairs and a retaining wall began to collapse. The city tells us the stairs have been removed and a new sidewalk has now been installed. Crews do still need to plant new grass at the park. Well, Tropical Storm Imelda swamped much of southeast Texas, and now there is more bad news.
Yeah, some communities hit hard by flooding may not qualify for FEMA assistance.
Welcome back. President Trump is in New York for a meeting of the United Nations General Assembly.
Everything from climate change to China to Iran are on the agenda. Many of the questions for President Trump today were about that controversial July phone call with the leader of Ukraine. The president denied that he pressed Ukraine's president to investigate Joe Biden's son and his ties to a Ukrainian energy company in exchange for foreign aid. That call that led to a whistleblower complaint that Democrats argue was illegally withheld from Congress. The president blasted Joe Biden, calling him dishonest and corrupt.
Did you tell the Ukrainian leader that they would have the aid only if they investigated Joe Biden and his family?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't do
Could
it
you
at
elaborate
all.
as to what you
But
did?
Joe Biden said it about his son. Joe Biden was very dishonest what he did. What he did is he said if they don't do this or that and get rid of a certain prosecutor. Joe Biden said it.
Now, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has told the White House that they must release a whistleblower complaint by Thursday.
Well, several southeast Texas counties that were hit hard by Tropical Storm Imelda have already been declared a state disaster. Residents, however, are still waiting to find out if they'll also qualify for federal aid. Despite the widespread flooding, communities from Winnie to Mauriceville are still well below the level of damage required to be eligible for FEMA aid. Interstate 10 remains closed over the San Jacinto River because of Tropical Storm Imelda. It was closed on Friday after at least 2 barges hit the support columns. Flooding tore loose the barges and sent them crashing into the bridge. Drones were used today to do a damage assessment of the I-10 bridge. It's not known how long the bridge will be shut down. A stretch of the interstate between Winnie and Beaumont has reopened.
6 Weather is brought to you by Aztec Chevrolet in Beeville. Visit AztecAutoplex.com. Now, the most accurate weather forecast in South Texas with Chief Meteorologist Dale Nelson.
Hi, everybody. Well, welcome back. Here is your Aztec Chevrolet forecast. Just devastating damage from the flooding with Imelda last week here in South Texas, picking up a little bit of rain today. Again, just 3/100 of an inch out at the airport, 6/100 in Robstown. But notice out here to the west in Jim Wells County, it really came down as it did in Falfurrias for a while. This is actual video sent in to us here at Chris 6, a heavy thunderstorm in Orange Grove by Mary Villarreal. And you can see it's just absolutely pouring. It looks like Orange Grove, the big winner. And Juan Acuna tells me of our staff that they had about 3/4 of an inch of rain.